Good morning. Great wet Buddha. Yeah. Got the glasses back on, took the shirt off. That was just a prop. You know, no government official would be shirtless like me because they give a shit and I don't. So, back in America when I had to go overseas, I would dye my hair. It cost $5, sometimes $4 at Walmart for a product called Just for Men. Now I think it's like $7. You know, everything freaking goes up in price. Here, I was able to acquire a box of color, 55 baht. So that's less than $2, 32 baht to $1. So less than $2, whereas it's 7 plus back in the States. Another example of shit being cheaper over here. I've in many countries, when I haven't had a chance to do it before I left, I've used it. The idea was I didn't want to look the same as I did back home overseas. So taking off your glasses, wearing contacts if you normally wear glasses, growing facial hair if you normally don't have facial hair, and dyeing your hair are the best ways to not look like yourself. So keep that in mind if you're ever on the run from the law or whatever. So it's universal, and you know, of course, in the United States, most men don't dye their hair. So I'm with the ladies on this one. I know a few tricks I've learned over the years about hair dye, and it's universal. Even if I didn't speak the language locally, it almost always involves 2 bottles. They'll have 2 small bottles. And the reason is they have to be separate, otherwise they're active. And the chemicals that dye your hair are only active for a certain time. So there always has to be a mix. And it doesn't go live until you mix the 2 bottles and shake them up. And usually it comes with a very cheap, thin, too small for my hand, plastic glove. When I didn't have that, I would use toilet paper. I would use, you know, sandwich wrap, anything, wax paper, anything I can get my hands on. But usually they come with a glove. Sometimes it's a tube and a bottle, and that was the case here. Inside this thing, there was a tube, like a tube of toothpaste, and a bottle. So here's your bottle, and here's the tube, which you can see. I squoze like a piece of toothpaste and put inside here and mixed. This didn't come with the plastic glove, which I'm very surprised at. And I happen to have those downstairs because we use the plastic gloves for food handling here in the restaurant. But instead, my little 4'9" bundle of joy came out with an old toothbrush. I thought, what a brilliant idea. You know, I'd never done that before. Apply it with a toothbrush, especially for the mustache and beard, and it worked really well. So I don't think she went to college here in Thailand. Like I said, she's from a kind of rural area. She worked in a factory, a plastic injection factory, for 18 years. So I'm 99.9% sure she did not have any higher education. But she comes up with shit like that all the time. We heard a noise yesterday morning down in the bottom of the shop. This is the first time I've ever lived above a commercial enterprise. My house has always been in residential areas before, not mixed use. So the apartment above the restaurant is the first time I've slept above a commercial concern. And we both heard noises, voices downstairs yesterday and went to investigate. I'll actually make a separate video on that. It's pretty funny. So, you know, I've been trained to clear a room, you know, to eliminate danger. That's basic fucking thing. Watch your 6, you know. If you're working with a partner, they got your 6. If you're not working with a partner and she's not trained, she's a factory worker, I have to clear the room. I should have cleared the room. So first thing when I heard the sound is I did not clear the room up here. I should have checked in the bathroom. I should have made sure nobody was coming down the stairs behind me. And I didn't do that. And she went down the stairs like 4'9" and 90 pounds of whoop ass. That's my little warrior princess, man. The chick has got balls. She's got no fear. So I had to grab her by the arm and say, get the fuck back. Let the American badass go do his job. I've been training for this for my whole life. If there's somebody broken downstairs, that's one sorry son of a bitch. They're going to realize they made the worst mistake of their fucking life, and they'll never find the body. Never. I promise you. I'm too fucking smart. They'll never find the goddamn body. No body, no evidence. So anyway, like I said, I'll do that in a separate video. But with the toothbrush, I was just super impressed because she's constantly coming up with great ideas, just common sense ideas. She's a lot smarter than me when it comes to shit like that. I might have read a lot of books and had a good memory, but she got street sense, which is worth 10 times the knowledge I have. So, I was joking around Guantanamo Bay. That's not a joke if you're there. I worked for the government for 30 years, guys, and they are much nastier than any of the conspiracy theories ever then. They are much, much worse than you think and that you can find on the internet. The interesting thing about the internet is everything is out there, and I mean everything, all the fucking secrets. Shit that I saw because I had a TS, top secret clearance with compartmentalized sensitive information. I had about the highest clearance you can have. And so I saw shit that, other people don't get to see. And it's like an amazing amount of information is out there now. You guys know Snowden? He worked for the NSA. Well, the NSA, back when I was in, and I wasn't in the NSA, I worked for a different organization. But the NSA, back when I was active, was called No Such Agency, right? And now, fuck, you can see that in a book now or a movie or whatever. Like, everything is out there. Everything is declassified. It's incredible to me, the shit that people died to keep secret, 20, 30, 40 years ago is now fucking public domain. So it's out there if you want to dig, if you have the time, if you have the inclination, it's out there. So there's a thing I'll talk about today, and this will stir some shit up, but once again, I've said almost every video I do, just because I say it, don't fucking believe it. I don't want you to believe it. That pisses me off if you just believe it. You're being lazy. Verify, trust but verify. Go out and fact find and search, and you will see corroborating information out there, videos, posts, blogs, documents. One of America's biggest conspiracy theory things, right, that's been going on since 1963. By the way, I was born in 63. I was born in July of 63. And in November 22nd, 1963, as a lot of people know from their history books, one of the best, in my opinion, presidents that the country ever had was shot and killed. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy. And there was a movie put out by Oliver Stone a while back, and he brought up the New Orleans angle, if you will, and he asked a lot of interesting questions. But I'll tell you right now, from what I know, he got it wrong. I've seen posts and movies and documentaries that say the mafia killed JFK. But I've seen posts that say the CIA killed JFK. In the movie, Stone is basically accusing the military-industrial complex, which was my old bosses, the DOD, Department of Defense, of killing JFK, like the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest of the high. So, it comes down to two things. Number one, how many shooters were there? Because the official story which is wrong. Also, just like the other stories that are out there are wrong, the official story is wrong too. And this is what's cool about it. Like I said, with everything being declassified at this point as of 2017, and when I say everything is, not everything is declassified. And the parts that they've held back, even Trump, who is an outsider and is not part of the whole cabal, the whole, Bilderberger Trilateral Commission thing, the money guys, right? Like he shut down the Federal Reserve, that pissed him off. They're gonna, if I'd be surprised if he doesn't find a one up dead. And what's cool is that when they kill him, if they kill him, they'll blame it on a crazy liberal. The guy who will be pinned for it, like Lee Harvey Oswald, will be a known liberal with liberal posts and kill Trump on his Facebook page. Why do I know that? Because half the fucking country hates Trump. How hard is it to find a wacko with a gun who's posted on Facebook, I want to kill Trump? There's fucking thousands of them out there. So it'll be easy if they do off him, and I hope they don't. But, he's fucking with their money. And if you want to piss these people off, you fuck with their money. So we'll see. We'll see if he survives. If he gets elected again, it'll be interesting. At this point, I'm sitting here in Thailand just chilling and watching the show, and it is a fucking show. So anyway, the documents that were not released to the public, and they will never let you see, even Trump, once again, who's friendly to the people. He really does want to serve the people, and he also wants to serve himself, right? He's on Twitter every day, not for the people, but to feed his own frigging ego. Okay, it is what it is. So that he won't release that, and his people won't release that because Lee Harvey Oswald did fire or somebody, put it that way, somebody fired 2 shots from that old carbine rifle from the book depository, and one of them, a fragment of a bullet hit Kennedy. That was the first hit when he said, I'm hit. And Jackie leaned in and everything. They showed 3 distinct shots. The second shot was also from the repository, and that's the one that went through his neck and went into Governor Conley in front of him. The magic bullet bullshit with the Warren Commission. No, it was 2 fucking bullets. Okay, that's number 1. And they were large caliber bullets that made big holes, and they were full metal jacket, so they did not disintegrate when they went through the 2 bodies and the cadavers and off the bones. They got a dent in one of the bullets. Now, the best gun for an assassination, I read this somewhere, is 22, not a 45. And America, we're raised on John Wayne and cowboys, and the bigger the gun, the better. Dirty Harry, right, with his 44 mag that sent people flying backwards, right? So most Americans would answer that question, what's the best gun to kill somebody, to shoot somebody up close and personal? They'd say a 45 or, 50 caliber, Desert Eagle, bigger the better. It's America, Texas especially. Come on, Texas, bigger, everything's bigger in Texas. But a 45 or 44 or 38 will literally go right through, clean as a whistle. It will go in and go through and go out. So if you don't hit the right area, you miss. You didn't kill the person you try to kill. Whereas a 22 goes inside and stays inside and bangs around inside the person's head like a ping pong ball, like a pinball, ping, 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 between the bumpers. So it does massive damage. It basically explodes into little tiny pieces inside their head. So if you know how a artillery shell works, like a howitzer, when it hits, it spreads out, and what kills the most people is not the big ass shell, it's the fragments from the shell, right? So same thing with a little 22. It makes scrambled eggs out of a brain. So the shot that killed Kennedy, the third shot, was not fired from the book depository, whether Oswald was actually up there or not. He was the patsy. He might have fired the 2 shots. I don't know. But The one that actually killed the president, the third shot that they claim came from the grassy knoll, was fired by a Secret Service agent named is it George Hickey. He was riding in the follow-up car behind him, the one that Agent Hill, I think Craig Hill his name is, he was the guy assigned to Jackie Kennedy. He was on the running board of that follow-up car, and when the shots started happening after shot one, when he heard it, he looked up to the book depository and he jumped off the sideboard and ran up and jumped on the back of the car. In the meantime, while he was running between the two cars, that third shot happened, and it happened from Hickey's gun. And Hickey's gun was a AR-15, Colt AR-15. If you're not familiar with it, look it up. It's a military weapon that the U.S. has used for years and years and years. The Army knows it as an M16. And it fires a .223 round. And they make all different types of bullets, but the ones that the Secret Service had were what's called a frangible bullet. And what that means is, like I talked about the .22, it is designed on impact to mushroom out and explode. Hence the piece of Kennedy's head, the chunk of scalp and flesh that flew off his damn head. It was an accident, as far as we can tell. I don't think it was a conspiracy. I don't think Hickey was bought and paid for. He might have been. That's a possibility. I don't know. What I do know is he fired the shot. Now, here you are, the powers that be, right? All these high ups that Oliver Stone pointed out, who hated Kennedy, and you know, Kennedy, like Trump, was an independent president, right? And he was doing his own thing. The mafia, through his dad Joe, who was a bootlegger, helped get him elected, and they wanted payback. And then once he was president, with his brother Bobby as the attorney general, he was like, "Fuck you, I ain't doing shit for you." You know, they wanted help with Cuba, and he stiffed them. He wouldn't throw Castro out. And that pissed off the mob, because as you saw in The Godfather, you know, who can argue with the Godfather, the mob was heavily invested in Cuba, and that's a fact. They own the casinos down there. They were in with all the big telecom companies and all that. So imagine now you're the power elite, and the detail that was tasked with protecting the president killed him. Back in 1963, before the internet, before cell phones, before, you know, CNN and Fox News, are you going to tell the American people, oops, our bad, we fucked up and killed the man we were supposed to protect? No, fuck no. You're going to sweep it under the rug. You're going to push everything on Oswald, who did fire the first two shots. Now, separate matter, the second question. Number one, who fired the third shot? Hickey, I think it's George Hickey, Secret Service agent, allegedly by mistake. Number two question, did somebody hire, cajole, manipulate Oswald into firing that first shot? And that's where a lot of the unanswered questions about why Oswald wasn't under surveillance, even though he'd walked into a Russian embassy in Mexico. I mean, the CIA and the FBI at the time were absolutely aware of this guy. They'd gone to interview him and his wife several times in the house. Why he was allowed to go to Dallas and do what he did it's a great question. Like I said, Stone's movie has a lot of great questions. It just doesn't necessarily lead to where he wants. The people he accused of doing a coup d'etat and killing Kennedy, they could have influenced Oswald, but they sure as hell covered up the Secret Service, you know, being the fatal shot. So what's funny is, you know, luck. I like Kennedy. I don't think he should have been shot. He was a great president. But for the people who wanted him dead and who put Oswald in place, Oswald missed. You know, he got the shot in the neck and the ricochet. Kennedy wouldn't have died from those wounds. They would have failed in their attempt to kill him. And the friggin' Secret Service guy who stands up, there's one picture. You got to search. It's not easy, but there's one picture, not in the Zapruder film, but from another standby, that shows the agent standing up in his black suit holding the AR-15, and it's pointed toward the president because he stood up facing forward, and the gun went off. They kept the gun lock loaded with just the safety on, which is a thumb switch, so they could react quickly in case somebody shot the president. So when he stood up, one smooth motion, flipped the safety off. Now he had a loaded gun. And the thought is when the car surged forward, that's when the gun went off. Mistake. But they're never going to tell the American people that. I just did. You're welcome. Namaste. Also, something interesting for the liberals to chew on is George H. Bush, Daddy, not W, but George Herbert Bush, was CIA. Hell, he was the head of the CIA, and he still got elected to be the president of the United States. You explain that to me. Who the fuck wants to make a spy master the president of the United States? They did. The country voted him in. What most people don't realize, because it's not on public record, is he actually was a consultant, contract, agent, asset, whatever you want to call it, for the CIA since he was 18 years old, guys. 18 years old when he was a pilot. Look it up, research it, check it out. It's the God's honest truth. He worked for the CIA since he was 18. I'll tell you one thing about George H. H.W. W's daddy is he could keep a friggin' secret. I mean, you gotta dig for shit on him. Any information on him. Old school spies kept their fucking mouths shut and didn't say anything. Kind of like old school mafia guys, right? Omerta, that's the line. And Bush Senior was very discreet, very sharp guy, very good at what he did. I'm just surprised that he got elected, to be honest with you, because I don't know why the country thought making a spy master who, makes his living telling lies and doing things behind people's back and underhand and dirty. And believe me, I think every country needs that to a certain extent. Because if you're the only nice guy, then you're fighting with one arm tied behind your back. I get the need for that. I'm just surprised they put him in the Oval Office. But yeah, he was a career spy since 18 years old. Look it up. Don't trust me. The hell do I know? A fat guy sitting there sweating in Thailand. So there you go. That's the thing for the day. That's your nugget, your treat. Trust but verify. But unfortunately, JFK was shot by what later got to be termed friendly fire in Vietnam, which did escalate. He was, as Stone pointed out in his movie, he was about to start pulling troops out of Vietnam, and of course, the military-industrial complex wanted to ramp it up. Maybe they're behind Oswald, possible. There's a lot of smoke there, But what's the word I'm looking for? The ironic thing is they failed. They didn't kill him. His own friggin' people did, allegedly, supposedly by mistake. So there you go. Look it up, research it. George Hickey is a good place to start. See if you can find any material on it. But that's what happened back 40 years ago that people are still asking about. Mystery solved. I'll talk to you all later. Take care.